Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and this time I'm reviewing thanks to a good guy in here, Dustin. Dustin, who is actually starting to do reviews, so I definitely wish him luck on that. Well, he's doing videos, I should say. He hasn't taught them, he's just showing his VHS and DVD, but definitely good luck with that, and thanks once again for your kindness. He sent me Popcorn. Now, Popcorn is a film that I don't really remember much of. I think I saw it once a long time ago. But watching it again, Popcorn, I didn't mind the film. I liked the film. I think mainly because I thought the story was interesting, and I thought the ideas were interesting behind the film. No sequel bait ending, no downbeat ending. Oh, you spoiled it! Oh, whatever. It's film from 1991. Okay, that's really going to be. Oh yeah, well, oh well. Um, But Popcorn is an interesting film. It's a film that I guess at one time a guy named Alan Ormsby was going to direct it. I think he wrote it. And I think he changed his name to Todd Hattie for the writing. But then something happened. He either got fired or he quit. And so they got this actor, Mark Herrier, who I think was an actor in the Porky's films, to direct the film. And I think originally it was going to star the girl who played the daughter in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But instead they got Jill Schoen. I guess I don't know if she was cast and then she got fired, or she cast, they did work and she quit, or what the deal was. But then they got Jill Schoen. This is a girl who was in the original Stepfather. She was in, I think, Cutting Class. And I like the idea behind the film. The idea behind the film is that you got a group of film students who they need some money, so they set up this horror festival where they get this movie theater and they fix it up and they put all this stuff. Like they have a crazy clock that when the movie starts it goes crazy, and they picked like these three movies were sort of odes to the '50s films. Like one's Mosquito, so there's like a giant mosquito they built that goes across the audience, and it's in 3D. You got one called The Stench, which they put in this stuff that smells up the theater, and put like a thing on your nose. And they got think the Amazing Electrified Man or something like that. And basically, what happens is it's a guy who could be electrical. So it's kind of like William Castle did way back when. Some of the seats they flip a switch and they shock them. There's a bunch of fans of horror, like they have alien masks, and the students, like a lot of them wear like old school costumes, like back in the day, like it was. Uh, it really they fix up the theater. It looks really nice. It looks like a nice setup, and all these people come in. They again like alien masks, and like one guy actually has a fake head attached to him, and like the fake head bar. So it's a fun idea, and then basically you have a killer in the theater killing people behind the scenes. Why? Well, you find out. You also find out that Jill Schoen, her character, has a past. Like she's been having these nightmares. She doesn't understand them. She actually records them on a tape recorder to maybe put into a script. She doesn't know what's going on, and of course you find out what those nightmares happen to be. I thought that was an interesting part of the story as well. I think what really works in this film is the story behind the film. Because there's probably maybe a handful of people that actually get killed, and the death scenes are not gory at all. Um, uh, no nudity. The acting it goes from so-so to pretty bad. I mean, you got Dee Wallace Stone, who plays Jill Schoen's mother, but she's only in there for like the first 20 minutes, and then she disappears until the ending. Tony Roberts, who's worked with Woody Allen, and Tony Roberts been in a lot of stuff. He's in there a little bit as the teacher of the film students. The guy who played the boyfriend of the lead girl, uh, he did okay. I think Derek Rydell, he was okay. Uh, what was her name? You also have the girl from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, Kelly Jo Mentor. She was in there and she did fine. And Ray Walston, great character actor, he's in there for like a couple minutes as the guy who gives them the stuff to set up this theater. So that whole idea of setting up the theater and all these gimmicks and stuff was interesting. And then they'd kill her in a movie theater. I know there was that film Anguish, which I haven't seen, and then later on there was a movie called Midnight Movie, which I don't remember much of. But the whole idea of a killer in a movie theater, granted, after what happened in Dark Knight Rises, kind of sad, but this is 1991, so you gotta let that go. And this is one I always thought it was the 80s movie, but I'm like, oh, it's 1991? Wow. So, I mean, Um, the bad thing is I'm not a big fan of the lead actress. I'm not a fan of the lead actress. I know she was in The Stepfather, the original, and Cutting Class and stuff, but I just wasn't a fan of her acting. I didn't really care for her. Didn't really care for her character. I didn't care about her. So that didn't make me love the film very much. The other cast of the students are kind of, I don't think, the greatest of actors. Like the other students, like some of them, like Killer Joe Mentor, she was fine, but then some of the other actors, like the guy in the wheelchair, I don't think they were the best of actors. I don't mean anything rude. It's just I think some of them sucked. But D. Wallace Stone, I kind of wish she was in it more, but again, she's only in the first 20 minutes and at the end. Um, the guy who plays her friend, Toby, Tom Villard, sometimes he was kind of stiff and kind of off, but then later on I thought he actually was pretty decent. But it's the ideas behind the film, the story behind the film, and sort of the homage to 50s movies when they're showing, because they show a lot of clips of the movies the audience are watching, even though they're really shitty films, but I guess that's the point, because you have people sort of making fun of them. Like, there's a person whose name is Dick, and the girl says, "Kiss me, Dick," and then someone in the audience says, "Kiss is what?" uh, So some of the stuff with the audience and stuff did made me chuckle a bit. But the story was interesting, especially where it led to in the third act. Even though the third... Oh, by the way, a great tagline, buy a bag, go home in a box. But even though the acting wasn't the best, the kills, like for instance, you have one where dealing with an exploding toilet, although not as cool as it sounds, but... because you don't really actually see the toilet explode, you just get the idea. One is sort of a strangulation. One is gets killed by actually that mosquito thing. Killer uses it to stab someone. One gets electrocuted. So not many death scenes, and again, definitely not gory at all. Uh, but again, the idea behind the film, the movie marathon, the theater, and it sort of gets into a little bit of Phantom of the Opera territory, which was interesting. I know, like, this is bare bones, and I'm fine with it because, hey, it was a gift. But I know there's talks, I guess, like, Code Red at one time was going to do a DVD. Then there's some girl who she was doing, like, a Kickstarter to get people to send her money because she was going to do a DVD with, like, commentaries and like, documentaries and stuff. So I don't know what happened with all that. I don't know what's going on because, again, I didn't really know much of the movie, and looking up on it, I'm like, okay. But, well, again, I think why I like the film, I don't love the film, because, again, some of the cast are just, like, the lead actor's not the best acting, in my opinion. And don't go, oh, it's a slasher film, it's shitty acting. There are a lot of slasher films I see with good acting. I don't mind the acting in My Bloody Valentine. I like the acting. I love the actors in April Fool's Day. I'm talking about the originals. Nightmare on Elm Street, uh, Amy Steele, Friday the 13th, Lisa Wilcox, Ken Satos. I mean, I can go on. But the story and where the story leads to was interesting. I just have to get into spoilers to get into that, so spoilers from now on. Um, you find out that her dreams have to deal with... There was this fire long ago at a theater, and they were showing this film called The Possessor. And she finds out that, she didn't remember much. The D. Wallace Stone isn't really her mom, it's really her aunt. She had saved her, and they had moved because she was the daughter of the guy who went crazy. And the whole thing was, it was a director who was pissed he was getting bad reviews, and he went crazy. So he showed his film in the theater and was going to kill his family in front for people to see. There was a fire, a lot of people got killed, and so D. Wallace took her and they moved away. And you find out that the killer is actually one of the victims of that fire. him and his mom were killed, and the guy blames her, and the guy's actually her friend Toby wearing a mask, like makeup. Kind of reminds me of Dark Man in a way, because again, or like Phantom of the Opera, where he can actually make this makeup, kind of like Mission Impossible shit, make this makeup that you can put on him, because he's really badly burned. And I thought the burn makeup was actually pretty good. And I thought the actor, his performance without the makeup, it's very over the top. That sounds very badly over the top. At the same time, I thought he was still pretty decent. And he wants to. Not only does he kill a few folks that are behind the scenes, so even though there's like an interesting part where he's about ready to kill someone, but then he realizes that she's actually in love with the Toby, and he's pretending to be someone else, and so he doesn't kill her because he's confused by that. They don't play off that much, but I thought, okay, that's an interesting idea. He doesn't kill her because he finds that out. And granted, the killer's logic, like the fact that he can actually create this Dark Man stuff, Mission Impossible stuff, so faces that look perfectly, again, not realistic. And his reasons for doing this, the fact that he wants to recreate it, so maybe I won't be burned and my mom will be alive. I'm like, and then Jill Sholin actually goes, yeah, that sounds perfect, or that sounds reasonable. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know if she was just bullshitting him. I'm like, really? This is a stupid idea. But I guess you just got to chalk it up to the guy's apeshit crazy. That's why he's doing. He's apeshit crazy. So, crazy doesn't mean they're smart, or crazy doesn't mean they're logical. So you just got to go with it. So, but yeah, I like the way it was leading. I like the setup with the movie theater and all the fake movies and the gimmicks. But I like the sort of reveal, is sort of a little bit of Phantom of the Opera type stuff, and he wants to recreate it. And really, the boyfriend, the guy, sort of becomes a hero because there's this sort of running gag where he gets beat up or hurt a lot, and then at the end he actually gets to save the day, where he goes down, like puts his belt or jacket or whatever, and goes down this thing, smashes in, gets hurt again, and then that makes that mosquito thing go up and kill the bad guy. And like I said, there's no downbeat ending, there's no sequel bait, and really the guy, even though in a clumsy way, because the guy gets hurt a lot, and the actor was okay. I mean, he was decent. He saved the day. I thought, okay, that's cool. And D. Wallace Stone didn't die. I'm like, that's cool. And again, the ideas behind the film and the story behind the film, even though, yeah, take a leap of faith with logic and certain stuff. Tilly Joe Mentor, she didn't die. So I'm like, wow, they didn't kill everybody. And again, if you're going into this film for the kills or for the gore, it's not really hilarious. I mean, I didn't think it was really funny. I mean, but, and again, the acting from some of these people leaves a lot to be desired, but I didn't mind the story behind the film. I didn't mind the setup behind the film. I thought some of the scenes were shot well, like when D. Wallace Stone, in the first 20 minutes, she goes up to the theater and like there's little bits of the sign falling and like shooting at her. She goes in, and when she goes in the theater, the way that's set up I thought was pretty well directed. And again, the atmosphere of the theater was good. All these fans were wearing all this makeup and stuff, and the films. I thought you had fun, because like, man, I wish I was in that theater, enjoying that. And I thought the story was actually decent. I thought it was maybe not most realistic or logical story, but the story itself was pretty decent story. I know it's weird saying on a slasher film, but I thought, it's definitely an ode to horror fans. You can see that. Good intentions, and I liked it for that. I think that's why I liked it. So it might not be everybody's cup of tea. I don't even know if this really has a big fan base, because whoever's doing trying to do special features, I don't know if they're, and that's my stomach if you hear that. I don't know if a lot of people are looking for a special edition of this, but granted, I think there's films I would rather see: The Blob remake, Leviathan, Split Second, but this is not a bad film. I liked the film. I like his touch of Phantom of the Opera. Again, I thought the makeup was good, and overall, a decent film. I liked it. I liked the ideas. I liked how it went, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's not too bad, not too shabby. But either way, thanks for watching. Thank you, Dustin, once again, and stay tuned for another review later.